Well, we can go ahead and get started here. We'll move quickly. We always have a goal of kind of wrapping up a little bit early, giving you a couple minutes back in your day. So this is technically 45 minutes for the webinar, but we'll see if we can end a little early. I'll end this poll. I'll share out the results with everyone quick. Kind of nice to set a baseline of how long everyone's been here. Looks like we've got a decent amount of customers and then a couple of people who haven't joined yet or are on a trial. So that's exciting. Okay, so my name is Aubrey. I'm the product marketing manager at Hubstaff, and I'm going to be just keeping things running today, along with Gene. He's our customer support expert. And then we have a great team of internal product experts here. Laura is a customer success manager, and Olga is a product manager. So we're really lucky to have them both here. They have a lot of knowledge about payments, and we will move really quickly today because we have a lot to cover, but add any questions that you have into the Q&A. The chat is great for small talk or quick comments, but if you have a serious question to be answered, put it in the Q&A, and Jean will be going through there, and he'll be answering questions live if it's a quick one-off that might apply more so to you. But if it's something that applies to everyone, he'll save that for the end when we go through our Q&A, and then we'll answer that live for everyone. And often, too, we'll be able to show you on the screen within our staging environment what it'll actually look like to fix your problem. So you can add anything in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be payments related, but we'll make sure to answer those for you as we go. And then we will be sharing the recording out for everyone after we wrap today. So right afterwards, I'll download it. I'll probably share it out within 2 to 3 hours, so you can look forward to that. And we always add them to YouTube, so you can always watch them back, save them, share with other coworkers. We try to make it easy for you to watch it back. So we'll actually kick things off with another poll. We love to see, it's kind of nice to just set a baseline. So we're just curious, are you already using Hubstaff Payments? Do you have an integration set up? Some people just use our reports and then run payroll elsewhere. So we just want to see where everyone's at and just set a baseline for while we're chatting about it. Looks like the majority have a payroll integration set up, about half and half maybe. And one thing that I always think of, when it comes to payroll, the Pew Research Group did a study years ago, and they found that just 2 payroll errors could lead to 49% of employees looking for a new job. So that's just something that's always top of mind for me. Payroll is so important. Retention is so important. And you only really have 1 or 2 chances to make a small mistake before you're going to start losing employees. So it's really important to keep that running smoothly and it'll, save costs in the end. So, all right, I'm going to end the poll and then I'll share it with you guys. It looks like around 36% have an integration set up, and then some people are using the reports, and then there's a couple of people who don't use it, but might be planning to. So cool. And I'll again, just kind of set a baseline here. I'll just talk about payments for a minute. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to start really soon talking about how our payments work. But I just want to talk about payments for a minute. This is just kind of one of those things that seems really simple on the surface, but it takes a lot of time. And if you're doing it manually, there can be a lot of mistakes made. And it's one of the most important things about running your team. So I think that's just the foundation of what you're doing as a business. And so to automate it, to make it as seamless as possible and to remove any mistakes is so important. So we really try to take the stress out of that process. And instead of like manually downloading a report and then double checking a spreadsheet and trying to make sense of everything and, remove 5 hours for a holiday here, we try to do it all really automatically so that the time that your team tracks moves right into payroll. And for them, it means that they're getting paid for all the time that they're working. And for you, it means that you're only paying for work that's being done. So it's really a win-win there. And it just gives you a lot of clarity. So it might not be, our flashiest feature, but I think it's really one of our biggest value adds. And if you get this piece right, everything's just going to move a lot smoother. So I'm going to hand things over to Olga here, but we will be managing the Q&A and we will be sharing this out later. So go ahead and leave questions in there, and go ahead, Olga.
Thank you, Aubrey. So let's start. Just to continue what you just mentioned, payments is indeed very important piece, and oftentimes it's being, I wouldn't say overlooked by professionals, but rather underappreciated. Whereas it is indeed so much important, and it's the accuracy of payments is something that like nobody can underestimate. So with that, this is indeed something that we, I would say, prioritize for as our very, very big focus. And we want to make sure that payments for you are always streamlined, that you have always very accurate number, and you have a very clear audit trail. Those are very important aspects for us. But also that the process for you is as simple as possible. Uh, and if you can see, here are 4 simple steps that your organization would have to go through, from setting up originally what are your internal processes, what are your preferences for the organization. Then members would track the time. Your managers would approve the timesheets. And this goes straight forward into members being paid. It's that simple. And Laura is going to show a little bit more about how all of that works in real life. But for now, let me talk a little bit more about something else. So while our system is simple, we made sure to make it powerful, because every single organization has unique use cases, and we need to make sure that you can tune the settings to satisfy and support your business processes and your business operations. So with that, we have so many different features that really help you to support your internal processes. From international payments, that I'm sure is very important for majority of you guys. We know that for most of our customers, your team members are located all across the world, and we made sure to find the best providers for international payments. We'll talk a little bit more about it with the next slide. Um, as we just discussed, automated calculations, that's truly important for us to streamline the process and remove that manual, those manual steps from it, so that we not only make the whole process smoother, but also mitigate the risk of human error. Um, we know that depends on the nature of your relationship with your team members, the type of pay might be different. We made sure to support both most common types, which is hourly and fixed-based rates. And next is about any kind of adjustments. We have quite elaborate system now that helps you to apply one-time or recurring adjustments to your payroll, which can be used for bonuses, for reimbursing expenses, for maybe even penalties if that happens. But let's focus on the bonuses side, the positive one. Flexible approval system. We have multiple features. You probably saw here the timesheets approval, which is something that we found being very powerful and helpful. But we have also some other features that also can be used and can be helpful, complementary to the timesheets approvals. And last but not least, we know that some of you have quite elaborate internal policies for time off or overtime, and we support all of it. With our system, you can design pretty much anything that may be your internal policy, and then provide your team members with well-earned paid time off. Um, Now let's talk a little bit more about the providers and partners that we use. Aubrey, I think this would be a great time to run maybe another poll and see how our customers are paying their members. And while you guys are answering, and I'm very curious to see the results, I want to tell you a little bit about our payment providers and the HRIS partners. So you can see here a little star for WISE. This is for a reason. We have very close relationship with one of the best international payments providers that is out there in the world. They are very well known, and they are well known for good reasons, because they they provide very transparent fees structure. Uh, they have a very widespread network of their partners across the world. And as a result, the payments are cheap and they are fast. So we partner them for those reasons. And also, they are really reliable, which is I would say, like number one priority when it comes to payments. Uh, but not only that, we negotiated with them privileged fees for our customers. So if you guys are paying through Wise via Hubstaff Wise integration with some types of fees, the fees are being waived for you. So this is just a nice little bonus that we're offering. Wise is great for stable banking regions such as Philippines. We know that a lot of your team members oftentimes are located in that region. But not only Philippines, they are really great across the world. That being said, we know that for some of you, sometimes the sorry, team members are located in more challenging banking markets. Some of the Latin American regions, maybe somewhere in Middle East. So that happens. And for those scenarios, we have an alternative, Pioneer. So with Pioneer, you can also pay with relatively cheap fees, much more privileged compared to PayPal. Also fast, and they do support all of those markets. So that's your alternative. And then PayPal, well, they don't need an introduction. And they are really good when you have to pay one-off to somebody or some really very challenging markets sometimes. They are good for that. So if you don't have any other alternatives, we also have PayPal integrations. And for and for those who are into crypto, we have even that covered. So Bitwage is our partner for crypto native teams, which is a great alternative for challenging banking markets, but also just for those team members of yours who prefer to receive their earnings in crypto. Aubrey, how about our poll results?
I just shared those out. It looks like, unsurprisingly, Wise is definitely the largest one, 65% there. Then it's PayPal and Deal and then Payoneer. So yeah, that's
Awesome, awesome. And I see also Deal here. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So Deal and Gusto, they are two of our HRIS partners. So this is a little bit different way of how we support payments, but not only payments. If you use Deal Augusto as HRS providers for yourself, then you have an opportunity to consolidate information about your team members under Deal while still using Hubstaff and also integrate data from Hubstaff into Deal Augusto, which will support payments, but also just consolidating data under one hood, which is very helpful, I'm sure, and can streamline all of your business operations. So Deal is something that we recommend for contractors, specifically pay-as-you-go contractors, and Gusto we recommend for W-2 employees. If you use one of these HRS systems today and you do not have integration yet, we would strongly recommend you to consider it. All right. Now let's talk a little bit more about what's coming next. So we have a very rich roadmap for 2026. We're very excited about it. And just to give you a quick sneak peek into some of the features that are coming out soon, something that is actually coming out this week, proof of payment. This is a very much anticipated feature. For lack of a better word, let's call it payslip. However, we do appreciate the importance of the right terminology when it comes to the contractors to respect the employment type compliance rules. And so for that reason, we call this feature proof of payment. This feature is this document proof of payment can be used as an official earnings record for your team members and can be presented in banks or tax authorities or any other authorities. And it's going to be sent in an email to all of your team members who are going to be paid via Wise, PayPal, or Pioneer integration with Hubstaff. And a little bit later this year, also the integration with Bitwage will be supported as well. And next feature that we're also very excited about, which is coming early next year, is improvements to our individual payment page. This page is something that you can use to see the history of the payments that have been made via Hubstaff, or just to see the draft of the payment that was shaped before it's going to be sent out. And we enrich that document with so much additional very helpful information from just a quick summary so that you can understand everything about this payment at a glance, to a lot of detail that gives you a full breakdown of how your members are going to be paid, what type of earnings is going to be included in this payment, and so on and so forth. So we are very excited about this one as well. And if you are interested to participate in the beta, just send us an email, and we'll be happy to include you. And last but not least, we saw that a lot of you are already using Hubstaff Payments, and we are very happy about it. But if you are not yet, and if you are interested, we very much recommend you to schedule a meeting with Andrew Martin, our payments expert. You can schedule a meeting with him by scanning this QR code, and you'll be navigated to his schedule a meeting page. And he is really the best person to help you figure out if our solution is a really good fit for your needs, or if there is something that needs to be done. So with that, Laura, I would like to pass it on to you, and maybe you can give us some examples of how all of these exciting features can be used in real life.
Absolutely. And hello, everyone. Today I'll walk you through how simple it is to set up payroll in Hubstaff. There are only a few key components that are required. One is you need to have a payroll business account. It's required by most providers, such as Wise, Payoneer, and PayPal. Number two, you need each team member to have a pay rate added in Hubstaff, and I'll show you in a moment how to do that. And number three, we want to make sure that your members have a payroll account that is active with the payroll provider that you decide. It should be very simple to set up. And just to give you some perspective before I start sharing my screen and show you the nitty gritty, I recently helped an account with over 200 employees transition from a completely manual process where they were downloading hours from Hubstaff, calculating totals in Excel sheets, and entering payments one by one in Wise. This was causing a lot of friction internally just because the employees weren't being paid consistently or in time altogether. We will see like several payments on Friday, some on Monday, and it was just very inconsistent overall. With automated payroll, all payments are being processed together one time every time. It really poses a major win just for your team, as it will just show a lot of more stable solution for their end. I will share my screen and just show you how to start configuring and just guide you through it. Second. Okay, so we are going to start here in the member section. We want to make sure that each team member has an assigned pay rate. That will be the first thing that you want to do. You see here next to the members, you should see the payment section. And if you click on the little pencil next to it, it will bring you to this configuration page. Basically, there are three things that we want to do here. One is adding a pay rate. It should be either hourly or a fixed rate. We want to make sure this is accurate because this will base the calculation. Basically, their hours and pay rates will give you totals that needs to be paid. Next one, we need to make sure that a pay period is selected. The pay period will determine how often your payroll is processed. So if you pay your employees weekly, you want to make sure that there is a weekly pay period. If you do it monthly, you have that option there as well. And then we have like a not necessarily it's an optional field. It's called the required timesheet approval. It is a process that I highly recommend. But basically, requiring approvals enable a workflow where users submit their timesheets and a manager must approve them before payment. If this isn't enabled, the payroll will automatically be completed still using the timesheets. But definitely, it is something that I suggest. And just to show you how that approval process works, if you go here to timesheets and you click on approval, you will see all the pay periods. Basically, this is a time card that is created for a pay period, and you will be able to see the total time, their activity levels, but basically you can decide whether this is approved or not. So you can approve it or deny it. And the one thing I really like about this is that the user has to submit their timesheet. By submitting the timesheet, a user is agreeing basically that all the information there is accurate. So if I have 40 hours in my timesheet, I should expect the payment for a 40 hours work week. So basically you submit it after it's submitted by the employee.
Laura, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're getting comments that people cannot see your screen.
You cannot see my screen? What about you guys? Can you see it?
I am able to see it. It looks like everyone else has seen it. Raquel, you might have an issue on your end. Okay. Yeah.
Make sure that at the very top of Zoom, there is a list of screens, and make sure that you click on Laura's screen.
Yeah, you can see the three options. It's webinar, Olga's screen, Laura's screen. Okay, looks like that worked.
Okay, thank you. And in any case, the call is being recorded, so we'll send you the recording and you can look at these steps later on. But to continue, you are able to have an approval process. Your team members can submit timesheets and then you can approve them. And by approving them, basically you're telling the system, yes, we are okay to go through and continue with the payroll. The payroll will be processed afterwards. Now, we want to talk about payment settings. So if you go here to all settings and then you click on payments, you're going to be brought up to this screen. And there are three amazing things that happen here. Basically, this is where you configure that the payroll actually goes through, that it goes through automatically, and when is it processed. So let's talk a little bit about these three settings. First, you have the option to choose whether you want your payments to be sent automatically or manually. Then you have delay on payroll. And the delay means that if you set up automatic payments, when will the payment be processed? Just to give you an example, you have weekly timesheets. Your timesheets is from Monday to Sunday, 7-day period. And if you can have 2 days or 3 days delay, which will mean that your payment will be sent Tuesday or Wednesday. This is basically when do you want your payment to be sent after the timesheet ends. That is really what it means. And then this new feature, proof of payment, actually you are among the first to see it live. It's a new way to send an automatic confirmation or payslip, as Olga mentioned before, to your team members of the payment that is being sent. It's brand new, and we will make sure that you guys have access to it. And to continue with the configuration, we are going to go into the financials managed payroll page. Basically, this is how you add your members to payroll, and we want to make sure that they're added into this page just to ensure that all the pay details, all the relevant information related to payroll is added, and also to make sure that they're added to the next payroll run. So if you click here and add members to payroll, I have like a dummy account for testing here, but you would be able to select the member that needs to be paid, the pay period, and all of these details are going to be brought up automatically from the configuration on the members page that we did earlier. But for example, WISE or the different payroll providers will require for you to enter their names or the email account associated with their account. And this is to make sure that there is the accurate details when payroll is being processed. And you can also select the currency in which the member will be receiving their funds. But with that, this is how the payroll looks like. You will see the name of the member, their pay information, even when the next payment is supposed to run. And you see here, there are multiple flags that shows you when the next payment is running, what integration, and even what the last payment looked like. So just a lot of relevant details that are going to be useful to understand when payment is happening, when payments are happening. Now, there is a portion that I want to mention, and I saw a note in the Q&A about members receiving bonuses and not being able to add line items to be paid for those bonuses. So the member cannot necessarily add an additional amount through this particular feature or through timesheets. I saw that someone mentioned through timesheets, but you as a manager, you as a person that process payroll can use payroll adjustments. Payroll adjustments is actually a brand new feature that we have available now. And it just helps you make your payroll more complete, have all the required information, and include bonuses or deductions. Like if you are paying maybe you're paying for insurance for your team members, and a portion is deductible from their end. Other companies give out loans, and those are deductibles from the members' timesheets. So there is a way to streamline, and it is through payroll adjustments. I actually had a very large client that was doing this process very manually. They had to pay bonuses every single month to employees, to actually more than 1,000 employees, and it was just taking a lot of hours and a lot of additional transactions. So with creating the payroll adjustments, basically this amount, for example, this is an addition, it will be added at the same time that the timesheet payment. So it's not like there will be multiple separate small transactions floating around. And to create the adjustment is extremely easy. So you click here where it says create payroll adjustment. You enter an adjustment name. You select when do you want this adjustment to be paid. For example, it could be a one-time adjustment if it's just a bonus. Or if it's something that happens often, you can select every pay period or the first payroll of the month. Then you select if it is an addition or deduction, enter the amount, and you select the member. When you create it, basically it creates a line item here, and it will tell you when it's supposed to be paid. This is obviously based off timesheets. So whenever payroll runs for the approval timesheets, this is when the next adjustment will happen for that team member. There is one more portion, and I know it's a lot of information. There is the recording, there is you can contact us for more details, but there is one more portion that I want to mention, and it's also something that I saw in the Q&A about how to make your payroll more complete, right? You want to pay holidays, you want to pay PTO balances to your team members, and that all can be streamlined to Hubstaff. I think if you're using the calendar function, it doesn't happen automatically because you're only syncing calendar events. But in reality, you could also create a policy within Hubstaff. And if you look at this little portion here, we have policies, we have time off policies, overtime policies, holiday policies. So if you have a process where you pay time off to your employees, be that holiday, a time off, that all can be added to the timesheets and basically become a payable amount. So it is important to look into these policies as well, because it will just make your payroll more together, more complete. But yeah, that was really a quick summary of everything that we have to offer in regards to payroll. I know that there's a lot more. And now we will be taking you through some of the questions. So feel free to please share them in the Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions coming in. I think one in the chat from Jessica. Jean or Laura, do you want to kind of show how that might work?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the question from Jessica, it's in the chat, but it's also in the Q&A. And it's actually a very good question and a very interesting one because she stated that they were going to use timesheet submission and use payroll to pay their contractors. But the issue was they didn't find a way to add the bonuses. And this is what Laura showed, right? We could use the payroll additions, and that can be recurring. So it helps in a way that you can schedule it to be sent every pay period. She did mention that they might change a lot, right? So that makes it a little bit more complicated, but because you would need to edit the addition or deduction every time that the value changes. The other aspect that was in the same question was regarding the team invoices, right? Which is what they decided to use instead. And the question that Jessica had in regards to the team invoices was regarding PTO, sick days, and holidays. She did also answer her question because, yes, it's not available currently for you to add PTO, sick days, or holidays in the team invoices. When you generate the line items, it only adds time tracked, right? So this is actually a feature request that we will surely consider. And we have a very long list of requests that we get from customers. So this one surely goes to that list, and we'll take careful consideration when we decide the next features to build. So this one is another good suggestion that we can add there. But she is correct. The best way would be using the additions and deductions. So it will require some manual effort because you need to edit the amount themselves if they change a lot. But it's a little bit easier than the team invoices themselves. Now, we had another question that was interesting, and it was regarding if Hubstaff work in Nigeria. And I'm going to actually expand the answer a little bit because it's actually a good question. Where does Hubstaff work? And the question in regards to payroll, right? And the big question is, it's not really where Hubstaff work. We work anywhere, right? The thing is, we need to understand which payroll processor you're going to use, and that determines where it works or not, right? Because the payroll itself, it doesn't happen in Hubstaff. We communicate to the payroll processor, and that's where the actual transfer happens. So, for example, for Nigeria, you can use both Wise and PayPal. They both work in Nigeria. You can send money to Nigeria using those two payroll processors. But for example, if you're curious of like, can I set up payroll to send money to Pakistan? The answer is you need to first which payroll processor you're going to use, and that determines where the money can land on. Right? So that was a very interesting question that I thought it would be interesting to expand on. Let's see. Yeah, it's just answering Jessica's follow-up. Sometimes they have bonuses, sometimes they don't, and the value always changes. Ooh, that makes it tricky. Yeah, we can surely consider that for the improvements to the additions and deductions. It's a newish feature, and we certainly want to expand its use cases. So this would be an interesting one. Now, these were the questions that we got. I got another one just now from Gabriel. Is it possible to set a payroll progress considering semi-monthly deposits, 15th and 13th each month? Yeah, that's a good question. And the answer is we have a few options. We cannot do exactly the dates that you shared because in your example, you said the process would happen on November 28th, and it would cover the time for the previous 15 days. What we do have is we have two pay periods that you can leverage. You can leverage twice per month, which is a set pay period, and it would run payroll from the 1st to the 15th, and then 16th to either 30th or 31st, depending on the month, right? And those are set dates. So every time payroll runs, it will always be for those two pay periods, those two intervals of days. The other option you could use, if those dates are not exactly where you need them to be, is biweekly. Biweekly is 2 weeks from the day that you set up, you select the start date. So it will be every 2 weeks from the start date that you set up, and you can choose which week it's going to start. So it gives you some extra options because it's not set dates. It depends on when you set the start date to be. But it should help you get those extra options in terms of when you pay your team and when you want the hours being paid for. And we have another question just now from Emma. Our contractors can enter expenses, but there is no ability for them to reimburse those expenses. Correct. We have the expenses feature that you can use to add to client invoices, but you're correct. They don't go to, there's no ability to actually pay the member for it, right? The alternative now would be if you use team invoices, you can ask the members to add a line item manually, which is not directly associated with the expense, but it can help. It allows you to pay them directly. Or, like we said in the question from Jessica, you can also add a bonus in the terms of like an addition for a one time for that member, and that should cover the expense. Right? So those are different options that you could leverage. But then again, similar to what we agreed upon with Jessica, all the suggestions that you guys share that we don't exactly meet with the features that we have, they all become what we call feature requests. We add them to the tool where we manage those, and we take those into consideration when we work for feature improvements. Okay, those were the questions we had. Before we move on, maybe if nobody asks any more questions, there is one thing that's interesting that usually comes up, which is in terms of currencies, right? It's common for people to have questions like, hey, I have some team members in the Philippines. Can I pay them and they get the money in their local currency? And if you're using Wise, for example, yes, you can. You can set up payroll, you can transfer, let's say, I don't know, let's use an example. You have your company is based in the US, you have a few contractors in the Philippines, and you want to use your balance in USD to pay them in Philippine pesos. You can set them up in Hubstaff using Wise for them to, you send the USD, you pay them using USD so you know the amount in USD they need to pay. When it gets there, Wise automatically converts to PHP, right? Philippines pesos, and they get the balance in their local currency already. So this is all automatic. And if you set up automatic payroll, it all goes through our system. Everything is very, very much streamlined. So you could do that as an option if the member prefers receiving their local currency.
Yeah, thanks, Jean. I think that solves all of the open questions. Oh, we have one more question coming in about unusual activity. How accurate is it? Well, we do have within the unusual activity, I can answer this one quick. We do have confidence ratings. So that'll kind of tell you how confident we are in that unusual activity alert. You can also open up the alert and kind of inspect what has been happening, see what's going on. And as far as the idle time, Jean, do you want to go into answering how this might affect pay?
Sure. Okay. So this is a very good question, by the way, Isabella. So kudos on that. We don't necessarily have a direct link between idle time or unusual activity and pay, but what you said is very common. It's very common for managers or owners to check screenshots, check activity, and if there is any flag, especially the high confidence ones, it raises the issue of should I actually send them payments now, or should I review that activity, try to make sure they were not faking, they were not using any kind of app to generate that, which we flag, by the way. So Insights is more than capable of informing you that. So you should have all the information that you need to determine if that activity is legitimate or not. But yeah, if you have, let's use idle time because it's easier. If you have idle time and your setting allows the member to keep the idle time, it can be paid, right? So it's very important in terms of settings for you to be aware of how idle time is set up, because you have three options. You can allow the member to decide they were idle, it shows a prompt, the member says, I actually want to keep that time because I was actually in a call, I was working, and I just didn't action the mouse or the keyboard. So that's an option. The other two options are either never, which is you don't keep idle time ever. As soon as idle time is triggered, the system will discard it automatically, and that means you don't pay it ever. Or always, which is the opposite. It always stores idle time, and if idle time is stored, it's recorded, you can pay for it, right? So the idle time setting is something you should definitely take a look into. And if you're not sure and you want to look for past dates, what you can do is either from the timesheets page or the activity page, you can actually filter by activity percentage. So you can look for, hey, which member has a lot of idle time or how much idle time they have. You can filter by that, make sure you're not, usually the goal is not to pay for idle time, or at least get some understanding, right? You were idle, does that mean that you were working, or maybe you were doing like a personal errand? And in that case, you would want to remove the time. But yeah, those would be the best practices in that regard. When you consider activity and payroll, ideally, yeah, we flag those for you. We make sure that your managers are aware. And then it's really up to you if you want to allow those hours to be paid or not. Oh. Can I answer one more? Okay, Isabella actually shared a follow-up question. It's a very good one as well. I absolutely love this idea. The question is about paying holidays with a different pay rate. This is a very popular request, and we have it in our radar. I know we have it. I cannot share any ETAs, but it's a very popular request to allow you paying extra when a member is tracking time or have a holiday or tracking time outside their regular work time. So at the moment, if you set up holidays in Hubstaff with the holidays feature, it only allows you to set up the number of hours that will be paid. They will use the regular pay rate and not an increased pay rate. What you can do as an alternative is you could create a specific project, and we have what we call project level pay rates. So you can set up a project to have a different rate for that project. That project could be named like, I don't know, Philippines holidays, right? Which is the example that you shared. And you would add a specific amount to that project for specific members to be bigger than their current pay rate. It's a bit manual, requires some effort, but you could use that trick, so to say, to pay them extra. Otherwise, yeah, it's they're The regular holiday will pay them the regular pay rate, not an increases rate.
Awesome. Thanks, Jean. Yeah, we had a lot of great questions, and hopefully we answered everything. I flagged a couple of people that we'll follow up with directly on questions. But I'm going to do just one last poll here, just seeing how you guys liked the webinar today. And then also I want to see what you want to hear about next. So go ahead and leave some responses there. We really like doing these webinars and we appreciate everyone joining. We'll definitely share out the recording afterwards, and maybe a round of virtual applause for our presenters today. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. We really love getting the chance to talk to everyone and answer questions, and we'll see you on the next webinar.